Hey, this is Matt, and today we're going to go over hedging, or what's called delta neutral hedging. And what that means is at every point in time or every specified amount of delta that your position has, you flatten out. And a common way to do that is every day you what is called flatten out your delta. So if you, in this case, we're going to look at selling a call. So immediately when you sell the call, you would buy the delta's worth of stock. So if you have a 50 delta, you would buy 50 shares of stock for every contract that you sell. So in order to set this up in the backtester, you open up the parameters and you go down to hedge days. And click on that. And we also have a different parameter that's used in the API called hedging intervals, but that's a little bit more advanced. But hedging days will flatten you out after that many days. So it could be 1 day you flatten out, or 5 days, then you'd flatten out. So I ran a test with 1 day. The tests generally take longer because there's a lot more computations. So let's check out how the short call did. We'll click on the report. And we'll take a look at the results here. 2018, especially the beginning, February was very busy, so lost money there, and then also around October it was, so that makes sense intuitively that you would have lost money in those volatile periods. Let's take a look at the actual calculation. So what you could do is you could go to download, and you could download the strategy, trades, returns, and stats. So let's look at the trades and returns. So here are the trades here. So here are all the trades that you made for selling this call and hedging. And as you can see, there's a stock profit and a total profit. I want to look at the trade where we entered on the 17th of December, and we exited on the 7th of January, and kind of break down how we figured a $343 loss on the stock. You made money on the call going down. The stock basically was flat, so you would think you'd actually make money, right? Because you sold a call, so you bought stock, but what happened was the market moved around a lot, and since you were selling a call, you were essentially what's called negative scalping. So let's take a look at that seemingly counterintuitive result. All right, the way to look at it in more detail is you could go to your returns, and on your returns, what you'll see is your daily returns and your daily delta, and so you'll want to open that up, and you'll also want to open up, since those are closing prices. We use the actual prices at 14 days before, or 14 hours before the close. Excuse me. So you'll go into your historic API, which we could talk about in other videos. But when you go to the general core and the historical tab of the API, you get a thing called PX ATM IV. This is what the price that we're using when we calculate the at-the-money implied volatilities, and these are the prices that we use to calculate the P&L. So here's the 17th. As we said, it's a negative 50 delta since we're selling a call. The actual unadjusted price was 253 on day one. So you end up selling 50 shares, and it went up about $2. So that makes sense because you made about $100. So here's how that formula works. You take how much the stock moved times the delta minus 1, since your delta is for the call, but you're hedging that, so that's why you put -1. So that's how we get the stock profit for that particular day. It becomes a little bit more complicated when you have a dividend that was paid. So the SPY pays a dividend on the 21st. So it's the holders of the stock on the 20th. So you had a 28 delta. So let's see what that calculation looks like. So basically, there's your 28 delta. This is the normal calculation before that we saw, but here's the dividend amount. You get the amount of the delta times the amount of the dividend times 100. So that's the only kind of kicker in there, meaning that's the only difference between just the standard calculation. So you could see that you had a few losing days when the market, I mean the stock went from 251 down to 233 and back. So that's why even though you were hedging by buying the stock and the stock went up, you actually still lost money. It's called negative scalping. So this is how we've calculated this. The sum of all these daily trades comes up to the negative 343, and the negative 343 is the amount that we saw here. So we've reconciled the delta hedging, and delta hedging is, I think, one of the best ways to look at the actual volatility of stock. We could have had a strategy where we just sold the call and we made money, but we missed the actual risk, a lot of the risk that happened kind of in between these times. So I think using this technique to check your strategies is very effective. It's called delta neutral hedging, and it's a very complex, and it's great that we have this in the Backtester, in my opinion. So if you have any questions, Matt at ORATS, and thanks for listening.